Are retro games more difficult, or did they just have bad mechanics? I know a lot of games are very difficult, like Hagane, maybe Super Metroid or Mega Man X on your first ever playthrough, but most of our beloved childhood games just had terrible mechanics. From characters joining our parties at level 1 to stupid game designs. We are going to talk a bit about why games back then felt more difficult. We have to keep in mind that gaming was still very new, people in general were not used to playing video games, and game devs were not experienced either. We're not going into details because I love making at most 5 to 6 minute videos, but we have a long list of game mechanics, so let's start with one of my favorite genre, the JRPGs. These games boomed during the Super Nintendo's lifetime, but they came with many faults. The biggest of those is the level 1 teammates joining the party. Let's pick the game that paved the way. Secret of Mana. Fun to play, but the amount of glitches and mechanics really didn't age well at all. Luckily, we all get the main cast early, but our last teammate joins at level 1, and at that point, we're already around level 10. It doesn't sound like a big disparity, but having her consistently die is a problem. It's not as bad as in games like Final Fantasy VI and Suikoden 2. The former has characters like Cyan, Setzer, and Gogo joining late and are under-leveled, while the former has new recruits joining at level 5 when enemies are at least level 45. That issue was fixed in later games, even in the Super Nintendo's lifetime, but I'm sure we can find a game made recently that still has this. Back to Secret of Mana. The save system in retro games, holy moly. This game only allows you to save at end, which is just the worst. Resident Evil 1 to 3 are no better with those ink ribbons. Thank God they got rid of that in later ones. It's fine as a challenge, but as normal gameplay, devs need to stop that. And those still exist, by the way. Just play Tormented Souls. I had to pop up the console and give me recording tapes to save. I had to go. I feel no shame. Had 99 in my inventory. I bragged about it. Symphony of the Night is also a PlayStation era game that you can only save in designated rooms. And I just played that game in October for the first time. Not a fan of that mechanic. You had games like Metroid on the NES that required a 20-character password. But we blame the fact that Metroid was developed for floppy disks and was ported very fast and bad. Now I'm talking smack about Secret of Mana, but like I said, it paved the way for the others. But we gotta talk about it one more time. The fact that it has no maps. You either have to know where to go in Secret of Mana, or you better have the poster map that came with it. Because there is no game map in there. You have a mini-map at most, but nothing is showed on it. So you need a map like you're driving across the country in the 90s, where you stop at rest areas, get the map, use a marker, try to figure out where to go. Zelda 2 had no indication of where towns and dungeons were. You had to walk around until you found it. King's Field had no map. That's a PlayStation 1 game. Phantasy Star 2 has 3D dungeons and no maps at all. We can now move on to the cheap shots to increase artificial difficulty. Remember Battletoads? That turbo tunnel with a reaction time shorter than human reflexes. That was a fun bit. I never passed it. Silver Surfer with the one-hit death and janky hitboxes. Stuff that could hit you from off-screen. Ghosts and Goblins. 2 hit and you restart the whole level. The multitude of games with knockbacks when you get hit and then you fall into a pit. My blood is boiling thinking about that one. Enemies that respawn if you step back once. Looking your way, Ninja Gaiden. Street Fighter 2 had its CPU literally cheating as well. We knew it. We knew it. It took like 20 to 30 years, but we finally had proof. I could also talk about the limited lives here for time wasting. Contra being notorious with its 3 lives at the start. And no, the Konami code was not known to everyone. There's also no checkpoint in that game. Neither did the OG Super Mario Bros, but at least you could restart at the world you were after a game over. The worst offense for me is the unskippable cutscenes. I get it for a first playthrough, but games like Stellar Blade that offer New Game Plus should just let me skip it all. I've already seen it. Gravity Circuit did it best. It has a speedrun mode. You skip all dialogues, all cutscenes, nothing. Just play the game. Love it. Luckily, I've never played Kingdom Hearts, but I've heard about the Ansem monologues. You fans have my deepest condolences for these. Metal Gear Solid 2 is another offender. Boss dies, you get a cutscene, he revives, and that's every time. If you're a fan of Pokemon and you grew up, like me, with the blue and red versions, you know about the 1 in 256 glitch, where the attack move will miss regardless of accuracy. The RNG was definitely not on point back then. Games like Fire Emblem even had 95% chance to hit, and I swear it was so much lower. Not as bad as Thunder in Pokemon though. Permanent missables are something I can never get behind. Silksong did it, and I thought it was pretty stupid. Lore-wise, I get it, but do we have to do that? Final Fantasy VII had you missing out on Yuffie or Vincent if you didn't find them. Chrono Cross had multiple characters only available through a one-time choice. Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, if you miss one soul drop, you don't get 100% completion. That sounds like hell to me. Now, I'll admit one of my faults. I'm very dumb at puzzles, okay? And retro games love to have a lack of clarity and hidden rules, like the first Zelda with bombs to open walls and burning bushes to find secrets. Like I'm supposed to know that this random-ass bush out of all these bushes is the one I have to burn. I would have never have thought about that, to be honest. This type of gaming just came out. We were not conditioned to figure those things out. Now, it's just a few years after the arcade types of games too. King's Quest is another one where you would die instantly if you can't guess the dev's logic. Terrible. Okay, we're at the last one now. Now is the stupid game design. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest was meant for casual players, and I get that, they want to attract new fan base, but my god, is it a tedious game. Once you realize you just press A the whole game, what's the point? There's no strategy needed, just press A for regular attacks, you'll be fine. Donkey Kong 64 is probably one of the most infamous for stupid design, like collecting 3,500 bananas, 201 golden bananas, all the medals, fairies, keys, crown, and there is more on that list. And after collecting all of that, you get the final challenge against King K. Rool. The game single-handedly destroyed the collectathon genre. And I don't even want to talk about Final Fantasy IX card game. Fuck that. One piece of advice, though. Stay away from trash like Super Ghouls and Ghosts. I'll give the game a break on its janky controls, but this game just sucks. Who made the red Aramirs? Holy hell. Super movement speed, can dodge all your attacks, or at least most of them, chases you non-stop, and can shoot from afar. At least they got no junk, bastards. And that's it for the terrible game mechanics in retro games. I love the classics, to be honest. I think most of these games are still very much worth a playthrough. It's fun to see where modern gaming came from. I'm about to restart randomizers of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, as well as Pokemon Soul Silver in the coming month. So it's not like I hate retro games. I'm just saying they were more difficult because they had terrible game mechanics. And a lot of those games were pioneers in their genre, so we can't really fault them for it either. But that's gonna be it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. I wish you a slime-tastic rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one.